to the music. It just stopped. Did it just stop for the listeners out there or just in the room here? Okay, great.
Just for us.
Welcome to Liquid Lunch. It's coming at you live. It's me, Hugh. And Marla is here today. Marla.
I'm here.
Only 1 week left. Next week's our last week before the holidays.
Oh, God. I hate holidays.
Do you?
It
Me too.
screws up my routine.
I know.
I don't like it.
No, me neither.
You? No?
I don't like the holidays.
Oh, yeah, but that's because you don't want to get together with family. I'm so glad I
notified
your family that you don't want to see them.
That's why I'm denying it.
Right.
I'm denying I ever said that.
Didn't a couple of presidents say that? Deny, deny, deny. I was not having sex.
With that woman.
That's
that
not
one.
sex.
Not the one you asked me about, but that one that I'm thinking about right now.
That one.
That way he's not committing perjury.
Those gestures are not love.
That's how you avoid perjury.
I can't even go to the depth of this.
No?
The sexual thing that I want to because
why not? Do it.
Children might be watching.
They might?
I can't say it. I don't think you'd be happy.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah. So, how are you?
I'm good. Yeah.
I'm good too. I did a major elliptical workout this morning.
What is that?
I think it's your business to know that out there in La La Land. An elliptical, I call it eucalyptus because I find it hard to say elliptical. It's a machine where the arms go like this and the feet go like this.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. You know?
Those are ridiculous.
And I went crazy on it because I listened to my iPod and I listened to Selena Gomez's new hit, I Love You Like a Love Song Baby, and Rihanna's S&M.
She's got a song called S&M.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
for the kids
baby.
out there.
That's
for the kids,
what I
right?
like.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you know, you should just do the T-zone vibration.
What's that?
It's a way to get a workout in about 1/10 of the time, and you
God.
don't actually have to do anything.
Woo-woo things.
No, it's all there's franchises all over the city.
I'm happy sweating. I mean, I feel like sweating for all sorts of reasons.
I think you should
except
try
hot flashes.
T-zone vibration.
Yeah, okay, fine. I saw this yoga thing. I couldn't sleep last night, and I was up like at 4 a.m. thinking about my life, and I saw this woman on top of some mountain doing this yoga position.
Yeah.
She's sitting on her bum, right? She sticks her foot in the crevice of her arm here.
I like to do that too.
And then she pulls the arm into her like this. Mm-hmm. And so her foot's here, right, of this leg.
Yeah.
And then she does this, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And she's rotating her hip. But I'm like, I couldn't get, like, I tried a yoga class like a month ago, and they wanted this elbow in this crevice.
Really? Let me see.
I can't do it. And then if you can, you're supposed to
go like this.
Match your hands. You're supposed to, you're supposed to know. Get your hands together. Like my hands aren't the same length. Hello. They can't go together. No.
You need to eat more vegetables, Marla.
Yeah, I eat plenty of vegetables. I got lots of fiber going on there. Okay.
Thanks for telling me.
Yeah. Well, you know, you led me to the water, baby.
So how are you doing? We got a great show lined up.
Yeah, tell me about it.
You want to hear about it?
Before I get into my little banter.
Oh yeah, Joe the investor's coming in. We're going to be talking about.
Good. What's he going to be investing in now since the economy is like?
Apparently, I heard now somebody's predicting if the euro goes down, that the best thing you can invest in is tin food and handguns.
That's perfect. I already have that.
Really?
Oh yeah, I love sitting, having dinner of a can of baked beans with the lid up, sitting on the couch, eating it right out of the spoon. I feel like a hobo. It makes me feel down to earth. It makes me feel comfortable. I feel like part of nature. Yeah. And the guns, I love guns.
Do you have a gun?
I refuse to answer that on the grounds.
Did you register with the long gun registry?
Oh, the bigger the gun.
Because so the police, you know,
yes,
can know that you're going to be trouble when they're called to your house.
Everything. Absolutely.
And it was all a waste now because they're disbanding the long gun registry.
Oh, okay. Well, I got a short gun one too.
Okay, good.
I got it covered.
Nice.
Okay, who else do we have?
We have Lisa Maxam coming on. She's the director of a company called the Staff Room.
What does this do?
Well, it's an HR company.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Human resources, I just learned HR is.
I understand, though, at the Staff Room, they often people don't understand what they do. And I don't know if I completely understand what they do. So we're going to
doesn't
find people
understand
think
what
they're.
they do.
I think Lisa told me that they people mistake them for being some sort of a employment agency or something like that. I don't know, but we're going to find out all about it
Okay.
later today.
Okay, that's good.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else?
And then Paul Fettes is coming in. He's president
And director.
director of research of First Sovereign Investments.
Wow, that really took a toll on your
Well,
brain
because I'm
there.
trying to remember,
Yeah,
because his
your
card is
eyes
not in
were,
front of
like,
me. I see.
squinting
You see,
and
I don't
going
have my
crooked.
notes here, so I actually had to think.
And
you
whose
know?
handwriting is
And I
that
hope-
you're having trouble reading?
No, I'm reading it. I can read it.
It's
No
yours.
problem.
Yeah.
But the notes, the words that I'm looking for, that I need,
Yeah.
are not written down. So I have to think about it with my mind, my memory.
Yeah, and I understand that is a hardship and an obstacle for most people these days. I
What,
don't know if you've
thinking?
noticed that.
What do you mean?
Remembering, because while I'm talking to anybody lately, and it's driving me nuts, and I'm really going to have a therapy session about this.
Yeah.
Everybody is interrupting me in the middle of my sentence, and I say, I'm not finished my sentence. They go, yeah, but if I don't tell you what I'm thinking, I'll forget. And I said, yeah, but I'm going to forget what I'm saying too. So we're both talking at the same time, so we don't, I said, take notes.
Did it used to be different than that?
Yes.
It did?
Yes, people used to actually listen and let people finish.
So what do you think is going on that's causing people to change?
I'm going to leave that up to you, Mr. Conspiracy.
Really?
Yeah, there's something in the water, I guess.
Do you think?
No,
You don't think there's anything in the water?
Well, I think there's not many nutrients in the water. Okay, well, on that note,
I'm drawing
hey,
a blank.
let's go to
I'm
some-
drawing a blank, Marla.
I tend to do that.
You know what I had?
If I'm not
no.
talking about bonobo monkeys, and by the way,
Which is all you talk about.
somebody, actually my niece, Suzanne, told me that there's a bestseller book in the New York bestseller list
What is it?
about the bonobo.
Really? What's
I
it?
said, oh my God. I said, I talk about the bonobo all the time on the show.
Yeah, maybe
She
that's
says,
why.
what do you know about them? I said, I know that they like doing the same sexual positions as I do.
And
Well, you know that. We've
I
discussed.
forget. Yeah, but could we have that list again?
Well, it's the bonobo, and don't forget the list of the 3 animals that like to have sex for pleasure is the dolphin,
Right.
the bonobo,
Uh huh.
and the human.
Okay.
Yeah.
No more sex talk.
And, oh. And then I had mentioned on another show that lions will have sex up to 50 times a day, and pigs' orgasm will be 30 minutes. I said, well, which one would you rather be? And I said, all I know is I want to have a menage a trois with both of them. That's going to be one heyday.
That is going to be, I don't know,
One good time.
banned from YouTube.
Oh, definitely banned
video.
from YouTube. But one good time for me, buddy. Okay,
All right.
ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
I found some interesting items to talk about today. Did you know that an ostrich's eye is bigger than its brain?
I did know that.
Well, that's
Thanks-
because
thank
I
you for
told it to you.
asking.
Oh, you knew that. Of course you would. All right. A goldfish's memory span is how many seconds? Goldfish.
Actually, the goldfish, are you talking about short-term memory or long-term memory? Because the goldfish has a very good long-term memory. But the short-term memory is very short. Like 2 seconds.
I'm not sure I can believe you on that. Oh.
I'll tell you a
wait.
story.
What did you just say, the last line?
About 2 seconds for the short-term
You're
memory.
right.
Right.
You're right. And all I want to say to that is that if you need to spill your guts about your secrets in your life to anything, tell a goldfish, because in 3 seconds, it'll be gone.
Now, let me tell you. Can I tell you my long-term goldfish memory?
Was it a goldfish
Story?
in the toilet bowl? You're trying to
No.
flush it and it's going, please don't, and
No.
he can remember you?
As you know, Marla,
Okay,
as
what?
you may know, the
Yeah.
goldfish is actually a carp.
I did not know
Yes,
that.
it's the same.
Is that like the one in the
fish.
Chinese restaurants with the big pond and then those goldfish?
Yeah.
They're huge. No, they're called something else.
No. Well, the koi.
Yeah.
Those are the fancy bred
Oh, okay.
goldfish.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's the same fish as a carp. It's the same species, right?
Okay.
Now the carp get quite large. In fact, once I caught one, the biggest fish I ever caught was a carp. See, the TV's not even big enough, Marla. It was about this long.
Did he? Did it look like a goldfish
It looked like a giant goldfish that wasn't as gold.
in a toilet?
They're a little bit gold, but they don't have the yellow color that.
It's
the-
gold.
Like
It's
an
not
actual
yellow.
natural carp is like sort of browny
Yeah, because I've
gold.
eaten it.
Browny gold.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the goldfish is just a a fancy bread. Anyways,
All right.
I'm just telling you.
Please.
There was a guy in Welland, my hometown.
Yeah.
There's a river that runs through Welland.
Yeah.
It's called the Welland River. And there's carp in the Welland River. In fact, that's where I caught my big carp.
And
right?
Welland is where that metal factory is, and all the waters are polluted.
Just
and you're
relax
eating the
about
fish.
that,
Okay.
Marla. We didn't eat
I
the
thought you
river.
liked that
We didn't
stuff.
eat the fish that we caught in the river.
Thank God.
But I'm just saying there was a guy that lived on the river, and every day at the same time he would go out and throw like bread on the water, right?
Yeah.
And every day at that same time, all these carp
Yeah.
came at the same time, and they stuck their little mouths out of the
I've seen them.
water,
Yeah.
and they were expecting
Yeah.
that to happen. So they got that's their long-term memory.
Oh my God.
Every day they would come
Oh
back
my God. At the same time.
at the same time.
Oh my God. Pavlov's dog.
Exactly.
Pavlov's fish.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Thanks for sharing. Okay. I have something else. A dragonfly has a lifespan of how many hours? He's probably going to know this.
A dragonfly. You mean once it's out of the larva stage?
Here you go. Sure. Once it's out
Really?
of its pupa. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Once
pupa.
it's out of somebody's rectum.
There's
Yeah,
four
sure,
stages
whatever.
to a dragonfly's life. The
Okay.
egg, the larva, the pupa, and the dragonfly.
No,
right?
I have the right P word.
I can't believe
Pupa.
it's only ours, because the
That was
dragonfly
pupa.
is one of the most elegant insects
I know.
in the insect world.
It is.
I'll say 18 hours.
It's 24 hours.
That's amazing.
And there's a species, 24 hours of a lifespan. There's a species that doesn't have to say, I won't worry about it today. I'll worry about it tomorrow.
Well, he's already had 3 other life
There is
stages.
no tomorrow.
He's had 3 life stages already.
This is not like, Gone with the Wind. I don't
You know,
worry
the
about
dra-
that now. I'll deal with it tomorrow. There ain't no tomorrow. 24
But there was a
hours,
yesterday.
baby.
There was a
There was a
yesterday.
yesterday.
What about the ancient in the old days, in the prehistoric times, dinosaurs days?
Yeah.
There were
I remember them well.
there were giant dragonflies. They would be like they'd have a wingspan of like 10 feet in those days.
Jeez. And that reminds me of one of my points that I saw about a wingspan, but I'll get into that later. Okay. Do you know that it's impossible to sneeze and keep your eyes open at the same time?
I've heard that, but I've actually
Experimented?
yeah,
I have
I'm
too.
able to do it.
Well, I've experimented too because I'm driving. Hello?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I'm like, I have one coming on. I'm like struggling, and I'm just going, because I don't want to hit anybody. But it's really so. Sometimes I just like drop one eye, and I just
Yeah.
it's very hard to do. I can tell you that. Very, very. It's also hard when what is it? Oh yes, when you want to scratch your eye. When you want to scratch your eye, everybody does this. I don't know if you noticed this. They drop their jaw. You can't
yeah?
scratch your eye without doing this. And
Yeah,
this has
you
nothing to do with this. Try it. Try it at home. Everybody. Yes, that's right.
I'm doing it right now.
Oh, you're doing it on purpose like that just to irritate me.
But I don't have an itch. Maybe it would be
Okay.
different if I actually had an itch.
That's right. Okay. Giant squids.
Yeah.
They have the largest what in the world?
The largest tentacle.
Testicle? What did you say?
That's
No,
funny you
that's
should mention
another.
testicles.
I did that already on another show. Do you remember?
That's the second time testicles has come up in the
capita,
last 20
relatively
minutes.
speaking, it was like the grasshopper or something. One of those crickets had the largest testicles, compared to their body.
I don't remember that one.
Oh God, how can you forget it?
I know how you couldn't forget
Oh,
it.
that's for sure. Okay, no. It's
What,
not
the largest-
tentacles.
I bet it is. I bet they
it's-
do have the largest tentacle. But they also probably have a large eye.
Yes.
Yeah, because I do my research.
Yeah, I think you're just reading my notes.
I'm not even looking. I can't even read.
You can't read from that
Like-
distance. Who can, baby? Who can past the age of 30? Okay. I love this one. In England, the Speaker of the House is not allowed to speak. Shouldn't life always be that simple? The Speaker of the House in
Really?
London is not allowed to speak.
It's kind of like an oxymoron.
It is like a jumbo shrimp
Yeah.
or like a clean dreadlock. I love that one.
That's a good one.
That's mine. I know I made it up.
Uh-huh.
Okay. You can always tell how long it's been since a woman has had sex by the length of her nipple hairs. And mine is growing dreadlocks
Wait, I don't
right
understand
now.
that. How can you tell that?
It's a great joke. Anyways, we'll move on because,
I have a personal story I'd like to tell about that.
Here we go
but
again.
Not on the show.
Oh, okay. And I can expand on mine. Not on the show. Okay. Mr. Rogers was what as a job before he became a television
I believe he was a
personality?
Presbyterian minister.
Oh, my
Was
God.
he?
This guy reads way too much.
No, I watched a lot of
Absolutely
Mr. Rogers when I was a kid.
Okay. You won't get this. John Lennon's first girlfriend's name was what?
Oh, his first girlfriend?
Yeah.
Like what? Like in grade 9?
You know what? They didn't say.
I don't know.
Oh,
Let me think. Prudence.
Thelma.
Thelma.
Thelma Pickles. Yeah.
Pickles.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. The average person falls asleep in how many minutes? The average person.
7 minutes.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
It's 7 minutes?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Are you serious?
I just guessed it.
Really?
Yeah. But based on my own experience.
Maybe we're just really connected today. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. The electric doorbell, bing bong, was invented by whom in 1831?
oh, I know.
When they didn't even invent doors yet.
Well, it was a very prolific inventor who also invented the toilet, Thomas Crapper.
Thank God you're wrong. Okay. No, Joseph Henry.
Joseph Henry, okay.
Yes, oh
All right.
yes, I remember Joseph Henry. Oh yes. And Alexander Graham Bell.
Uh-huh. Who was a Satanist.
I didn't know that. Refused to have a phone in his study. Because?
Because Mr. Watson was already there.
That's good try. Because the ringing drove him nuts.
Why do you think they call it Bell telephone anyway?
Because Bell.
Because of the bells. No, it was actually because of the ringing bells on the phones.
bong,
They could have
ding
chose
bong.
something else, but they went with the bell.
Oh, I thought it was because the last name of the inventor was
no,
Bell.
no.
Okay, I must have been wrong. Okay, Hostess Twinkies. They have how much of a percentage of air?
Are you talking about the filling or the cake-like
They
substance
don't get
that surrounds
specific
it?
with me when they contact me with these things.
70%.
It's a good guess. This is unreal. You might as well say yes. 68%. 68% of a Twinkie is air.
I like the Twinkie.
You know what? I used to like Twinkies. I used to like Loon Moons. Do you remember Loon Moons?
Yeah, what about the Joe Louis? Or the
I never had that because it had hard chocolate on the outside, and I don't
Yeah,
like
I
hard
know,
chocolate.
I
It's
know.
not my thing. It's not my thing.
Wagon Wheels?
No, again,
No?
too much.
Okay.
No, I'm not a really sweet sugar person. Give me an anchovy, however, and I'm a happy lamb.
You like anchovies?
Love.
On your pizza?
Love. I know that means no
That's
one has
horrible.
to share with me.
Yeah. What about you don't like pineapple on your
Hate
pizza, do you?
pineapple.
Me too.
Yeah, thank God. Like you're worried. Like
The Hawaiian
we're gonna
is
be
not a good
eating fine
pizza
dining.
idea.
Fine dining with this guy, baby. Okay, Lewis Carroll, who wrote Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
Where was he when he wrote it?
Interesting.
Yeah, I know.
Tahiti.
Well, you know what?
What?
I can't really answer that accurately.
Why? Why? What do you got?
Well, what do you see?
I don't see anything. I'm not looking.
That's right, because the answer's not there.
Oh,
That's why you're not getting it. I think you've been cheating all this
I
time.
haven't even been looking.
Okay, now the answer is actually, I don't know where he was. All I know is statistics say he wrote it while standing.
What?
I know. It was ridiculous, but I thought I had to mention it. Okay. The average adult has how many million hair follicles on their body? Just look at my arm. The average person has how many million hair follicles on their body?
1 million.
Now you're really wrong. 5 million.
Okay.
Speak for yourself. Okay, a female duck says quack.
Yeah.
Only a female duck. The male duck says what?
He says duck. That's where the word comes from.
That's very funny in the audience. What'd you say?
Duck. That's where they get the name from. Because the male duck says duck.
Oh, okay. No, the male duck says coo, hodo, honk, or grunt.
Hodo.
Hody ho, hody ho, 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 ho. Oh my God. Okay. There's only one rock that can float.
Oh, I know this one.
Oh.
See, I'm good at rocks.
Oh yeah, because you
Pumice.
studied it. You're right. I thought that was a fantastic thing. Fantastic thing. I love pumice. Do you know what it's good for?
Oh, yeah, it's good for exfoliating your skin.
Exfoliating.
Yeah.
And here's a little tidbit I think you all deserve to know. I pumiced my behind once. And I didn't know what I had done. I wanted to, give it a new layer of skin. And one day, soon after I'd done that, I was changing in front of a girl, and I took my underpants off, and she screamed in horror. Do you see what you've done to your behind? I said, why? What? I know I pumiced it the other day. She goes, it's scraped and raw, and it's bleeding, and it's full of scabs. I mean, I didn't know that, but I got to tell you, after the scabs healed, my skin was never smoother.
You know what? That's
Oh, I don't know why that's funny. It's actually a fact and totally makes sense.
You know what you need, Marla? You need a special mirror.
People are begging you to stop looking in the 10 times mirror. My beautician, my waxer, my electrologist, stop looking in the 10 times mirror. And I need a special mirror for what?
To look at your bum next time you pumice it.
Well, but it's pumice. No, I mean, the answer is actually don't pumice your bum. Not look
What
when
should
you
you
do it.
pumice? Something you can see.
Your feet can handle that kind of vigorous friction more than the tender skin of a behind.
Sometimes the bum can handle some vigorous friction.
I could say something, but I'm not going to. Suddenly I'm going to actually exercise tact.
Tact?
Boy, everybody's relieved today.
This is the tactful part of the show.
Okay.
You got any more?
Oh, I could, but I...
Okay, let's do one more, and then we're going to get ready. Joe, the investor's just showing up in the house here.
He's just aching. Okay. The average person... Well, I should say the average American.
Okay.
The average American consumes how many hot dogs a year?
Oh, yes. By the way, I have to say something.
Thank you.
I went to Gail's Snack Bar the other day.
Yes.
Do you know Gail's Snack Bar?
I've seen the sign.
You want a hamburger for lunch at Gail's? $1.10.
Again.
You want a hot dog?
Big spender?
I
Fine
think
dining.
it's like about the same.
Yeah, but what is the quality?
Yeah. It's an awesome place.
What is the quality?
You want to take me to, what was it, Morton's?
No, I don't want
You
to.
take me to
Never
Morton's,
mind.
I'll take you to Gail's.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
That sounds balanced.
Okay, I don't know. I'll say
Now I've
200 hot
forgotten what
dogs
the
a year.
answer is.
200. $200 hot dogs.
87. And 7 of them is me.
You eat 7 a year? Or you're in the hot dogs?
That's very good. Oh my God. You know what? I don't know. I don't know. It
all right,
could
well,
be
let's,
one or the other.
why don't we take a break? We'll think about that. We'll
I
ponder
have had
it.
operations and pieces of my skin have been, disposed of. Who knows
That
where
exfoliated
it
skin,
went
it has to go somewhere.
There's my tush. It's in that hot dog.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Good. On that note.
On that note, we're going to take a little break. Come back. Joe, the investor's here. And Liquid Lunch is underway on a Thursday. We'll be right back here on thatchannel.com.
Stuck sour in this makeshift skin, stuck sour in this life I'm living in. So much clearer from the inside out, begging for life, begging to be let out. And if yes, I will rise. I'm too far now to ever turn around. Burn black, the sun leaves a hole in my soul, and you'll see the real me. I'm too far now to ever turn around. Burn black, the sun leaves a hole in my soul, and you'll see the real me. I'm too far now to ever turn around. Burn black, the sun leaves a hole in my soul, and you'll see what he meant for me.
Okay, welcome back to Liquid Lunch. That's Josh Spears. That's who we're listening today. We had Josh on the show a couple weeks ago. And just want to say hi to Ernest. Hi, Ernest. And we are speaking with Joe the Investor, Joe Barbieri. Great to have you on the show as always.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, we're pretty good. Are you
We're
good,
good.
Marla?
We're very
Are you
good.
all right?
Very good.
Okay, good. Her bum's even healed. So it's all good from here on in.
Got the smoothest bum in the world.
So, Joe, we're going to start talking about the euro. Is that
Yeah.
what how we're gonna begin today? Because the joke I made earlier, I think before you came in, somebody sent me a link to some apocalyptic financial analysis today, and it was basically the best thing to invest in if the euro crashes is tin food and handguns.
Wow.
That it was going to be almost a global apocalyptic event. But what do you think? Where does it stand? What's happening with the euro?
Well, if you go back to the beginning, basically the governments borrowed money from the banks, the ECB in this case, and
ECB is what? Sorry.
European Central Bank.
Okay.
And the issue is about paying them back. In the last 3 years, that's what we've been talking about, is paying them back, and do they have the money? And
So the Greek government is borrowed from the European Central Bank?
well,
And now,
it's all the governments, all the countries' governments.
so these countries that are in trouble, they're in trouble in terms of their ability to pay back the European Central Bank. Okay.
That's right.
All right.
Greece was the latest one, but we had Portugal before, we had Ireland before, we had Italy now they're talking about most recently. Spain is sort of back there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it'll come up, maybe it won't.
Yeah.
But it's the same theme over and over again, is how to pay it back. And the twist now is the interest rate is going up with each one of these crises.
In other words, when Greece gets into trouble, the European Central Bank raises the interest rate on them to compensate for the increased risk?
That's right.
Okay.
Well, the market does, but they're getting all their money from the ECB and the IMF, so it's essentially the same thing.
Okay. So the market does, because the market assesses those loans as riskier, right?
That's
Okay.
right.
I have some questions.
Good.
I want to get away from the euro thing.
But wait a sec, we haven't even. What do you
Yeah,
want to get
scratched
into?
the surface, but this is really important.
Okay, go. But Joe is our guest, and we want to talk about what Joe wants to talk about. But go ahead.
I know. But I'm only here once a week, so I want to know. Is there any country out there that's not in the red? And secondly, will the United States ever be out of the red? And they have so many rich people there.
They only
So
owe
that's-
$14 trillion. I mean,
Is
that,
it
Yeah.
I mean,
possible
that was
that a
last
country
week.
can ever be out
Probably
of the
more
red?
now.
And is there any country that is not in the red?
Is there any country? No. Everybody's in debt. There's a few countries like Channel Islands and Guernsey that don't have debt. They're tax havens.
Well, you just said that all countries
Okay, well,
have debt, but now you just
Guernsey's
said
not
that
really
they
a
don't.
country.
these are exceptions, but they're very, very small areas.
Okay, so there are places in existence that aren't in the red.
It's possible, is what I'm saying. But if you look at the countries where people invest and all that, all of them are in debt.
Okay.
So it's possible. Can you get out of it? Yes, you can. And, well, you get out of it by not paying it, or by not getting into it.
Okay.
When you're in it, it gets more difficult. So I liken this to a person who gets in debt and they have to pay it off. So if it's a credit card debt, yes, you can get out of it, but it takes a lot more work.
Well,
And
but
Or you
if
can
they
go
stop
bankrupt.
going to the restaurants and if they stop buying DVDs and they stop buying it, then they could. I mean, it depends on where they're spending it. Like, let's say the United States wasn't involved in a war. There'd be a lot of money
well,
saved.
that's the
But why would you
that's
do
the
that?
idea.
Yeah, you know, it's just a thought, just a passing thought, you know.
Okay, Joe. So let's this is
Go
part
ahead.
of
I
this
was just
discussion.
curious.
Part of this discussion. So, okay, Joe. So continue from where were we?
From a euro point of view, Greece and,
Yeah. So the interest rates are going up for these countries.
That's right.
Okay.
And because of that, the future debt will go up
More.
more.
Right.
So what I'm saying is what you're seeing now is going to keep coming back.
Right.
And these meetings going on the weekend in Brussels is about what to do about it.
Yeah.
But their answer is to raise taxes and to cut spending. The problem is the debt keeps going up all the time, and if you don't
Right.
pay the principal off, it'll just keep coming back.
So it sounds to me like the bankers are getting together and meeting, and their solution is to stop giving any money to people who are doing work and give it all to the bankers. That makes sense.
Well, that's basically, you can boil it down like that.
Right?
They're redirecting it from the workers to
Exactly.
paying interest.
So yeah, exactly. So
yes.
those bankers sitting around in wherever, Basel or anywhere, are going to get that money that the guy that was cleaning the streets in Athens used to get, because they can't afford that anymore. So they have to take the tax dollars from that formerly employed Athenian street sweeper and give that money to a rich banker in Basel. That sounds like it's going to solve the problem.
Well, that's what they're saying now. I don't think it will solve the problem. They're just delaying. They're delaying this point of, there has to be a choice at some point where people say, we're not doing this anymore.
Exactly.
And I
Yeah.
think we're getting closer to it.
To the point where the people are just going to say no thanks. What is that going to look like?
That I have no idea. It could be many things. Now, a good example of this was Iceland, because they did it.
They basically
The
voted.
people said, they voted, we're not paying the interest. If we owe money, you'll have to just take the loss
Yeah.
and go home.
Are they in
And-
debt, Iceland? And what are they in debt about? I mean, what's going on there?
They were like Europe. They took on a bunch of debt. What happened was, now I don't know how they were 10 years ago, but they were had very little debt. When the rates went lower around the world, the cheaper the interest rate, the more likely you are to borrow, and countries follow the same rule. So when the interest rates went to very low after the 9/11, it was 0, 1% everywhere. A lot of countries borrowed money to try to make more growth. But the catch is you got to pay the money back.
Yeah.
when
Because the
the
music
growth
stops at some point. Then
and when
there's
the
one less
growth
share.
stops, then you're stuck with the
Isn't
debt.
it Mississauga that doesn't have a lot of debt?
Yeah, but they're thinking about borrowing some money now
Why?
because first of all, okay, Mississauga is a new city, so it's easy to be a new city and do well financially because all your infrastructure is new. There's no cost to maintain it, whereas the city gets older, the infrastructure costs more to maintain.
Like an old
Plus,
building.
because Mississauga is growing so quickly, it's got an ever-increasing tax base.
Yeah.
So that's the story of Mississauga. So now they're just getting to that point where it's
Okay.
starting to invert,
Okay.
right? That's my analysis. And my understanding of Iceland was they were a fairly regulated economy, very small country, and then they deregulated and they let their banks get start to make massive loans overseas and so forth, and lend the government money, and it just that privatization and deregulation, all of a sudden they got hit with what happened around the world, right? They just all of a sudden owed a lot of money on paper.
You're getting
Yeah.
excited with your
I'm getting
microphone,
excited.
honey.
Joe, go. Okay, so Iceland said no.
So when they came time to pay the debt, because the debt became 5 times bigger than everything the country made, so the people said, well, we can't pay this, so we're not going to, and so they didn't. And after that, their debt was written off. I think they've incurred new debt since, a lot less, but they're not where they were before, and they're not in the news anymore. And now they're actually prospering more than Europe is,
Mm-hmm.
because they were able to basically start over again.
Right.
And I think Europe is going down that road. They're going to start over again. And the how, I don't know, because it depends who makes the decisions and what people are willing to do or not do.
Yeah.
But it's possible to do that and survive and do okay. And this is what the news people don't seem to see that in the news. They just see that the end is coming and it's bad, but there's always something after that.
Well, somebody's going to have to come up with a creative solution. I mean, look what happened to Germany in the 20s with the Weimar Republic, right? I mean,
that was the same story.
Well,
Yeah.
it was the same story, and we saw horrible inflation, and life got very difficult, and in fact created a political climate that was so toxic that Hitler got into power, and
And we know
that
what
was bad
happened
news
after
for
that.
everybody. So there could be some consequences of this, right?
That
If
could,
it's not managed.
that could be the way
properly.
it goes, but it doesn't have to go that way. This is one possibility, which, but there are other possibilities. If the people say, no, we're not paying it, or we're going to pay it a different way, or we'll have a different currency that's lower, and that's going to be inflationary too, but there's lots of things that can be done. A lot of things that haven't even been tried yet can be done.
Okay, so that's a good, maybe that's a good place to carry this discussion further. So what would some of these solutions that could be implemented be, in your thinking? Solutions that are going to work for people and, avoid...
Well, one that Germany did do before everything went the way history went, they were doing everything local. So they had these community currencies,
What
one
year-
city at a time.
When would that have been? What year?
In the
approx-
30s.
In the 30s? Okay.
In the middle of the Depression, when it was at its worst,
Yeah.
there were cities doing this, and they were succeeding for a few years until the country said, no, you can't do this. It's
Before they decided it'd be easier to blame somebody for their problems. But we won't go into that.
so, well, I think that came afterward, but they were succeeding at it, and if they had followed through with it, it would have made a different outcome. There wouldn't have been that effect of that depression the way it turned out. And I think that can be done again, because you can do that anywhere. You
But
get people together and just start building it.
Well, and we have actually... we have local currencies here in Toronto. We have the Toronto dollar. In fact, we have a board member of Toronto Dollar Organization is going to be on the show a little bit later.
Mhm.
And actually, I'd like to introduce him to you there, Joe, because he's also in investment business. So maybe there's some good synergy there going to happen. But it seems to me that that the media doesn't really is having a difficult time looking at viable alternatives. It's like, the only answer that bankers seem to come up with, or that the media looks at, is like, raise taxes, cut costs, and collect interest. That's the only answer, with some variation of those three things. And I don't think that's going to solve the problem. I think that's I think the problem fundamentally is the whole idea of compound interest. And if everybody buys into that idea of compound interest, then the bankers get rich, everybody else loses, and the world gets thrown into chaos every 50 years or so.
That's essentially it, yeah. So the trick is not to buy the idea only, continue to look at every idea and keep it open, because this compound interest is infinite. The numbers get so big that they just swamp everything else that's out there. So you can't pay it back even if you tried. And they're starting to see that in Europe now, and in the States they're going to see that too, that we'll save $4 or $5 trillion somewhere, but the interest is $10 trillion, so we're back at it again. And eventually there's nothing to cut, and then what do we do next?
Well, yeah, because up until that point, the only option is cut. You end up cutting all the things that serve people.
Use.
Education, transportation, healthcare, the stuff that we
Sounds like
need.
Toronto.
Well, because it's the
Sounds
same.
like what's
It's
the mayor
the
doing?
same situation in Toronto, because the people are taxed to the max. Nobody wants to pay any more taxes. City spending is out of control, and the city has to borrow to pay the payroll, and they pay compound interest on that. And Rob Ford looks at it and says, we got to cut, but the problem needs to be solved at a different level. That's not the answer, right? Because basically, we're going to cut those services so that the bankers can keep their money, can get rich doing nothing.
Can I ask a question also? Again, what's the going rate for an RRSP right now? For the end of the year?
A GIC you're talking about?
GIC
It's
RRSP?
about 1%.
1%?
Ooh, that's good.
I'd be making more at ING.
Exactly. Ing.
There's
Making more.
ING.
yeah.
Sorry, it's faster.
I didn't know you could get a job at Ing. Ba-doom.
That
Well-
does make sense. It's 1.5 at ING Direct.
Yeah, 1.5. Well,
What are the mattresses
I mean,
paying
if
these
you're going
days?
to lock it in for 2 years, let's say,
it's still about the same.
that is ridiculous. That's why I don't buy Canada Savings Bonds anymore. If you're not going to
Exactly.
give me, the banks always ask me, I said, give me the rate and you'll get my money. Otherwise, I'll keep it in my mattress, thanks.
Well, this is why interest rates are going up. Are they going up, Joe? Are they going to go up for us here in Canada? How does Canada fare in this environment right now? Because people are saying that, we haven't had, our real estate hasn't really suffered a drop, but people are
Real
saying
estate,
maybe.
but they say they're not going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've heard somebody say 25%.
That's like California had a huge drop
Well, especially if
The,
interest rates go up.
a long time ago. Wow.
The rates, well, I actually thought they would have gone up by now, but they haven't. So
Which is interesting. And they haven't, because the central banks
Are
of
keeping the
Canada are
rates
keeping it
down.
low to keep us from complete economic stagnation, right? Which is interesting that they haven't raised the rates and they are keeping it low, but at some point, is something going to hit the fan?
well, I say yes, there'll be a rise. They might do this for 2 more years. I'm not sure of that, of the timing. But when it happens, it'll be quick.
And what will be the trigger event that's going to cause that to happen? And because people who are maxed out on their mortgages right now are not going to appreciate higher interest rates. And people will not
Yeah.
appreciate their houses going down in value because interest rates are going up. Right?
That's right. So in terms of what to do about it, or
Well, what's the trigger that's going to cause interest rates to go up? Because we've been wrong up to now, because they haven't gone up.
honestly, for me, what the trigger is, it'll come outside of Canada. And it's back to the debt thing. There's a borrower and there's a lender. All these countries are borrowing, Europe, Canada, US. The buyers are the Asians, the Chinese, the Indians, Japanese have some. They're going to be the ones demanding the yield or the return on the stuff they're buying. So they're the lenders to us, and the banks are also the lenders, but it's the same thing.
But can
Whoever-
Sorry, go ahead.
Whoever's doing the lending can say, I want a higher interest rate because either you're a higher risk or I'm not making enough, or
Right.
you know, there'll be a reason that shows up.
Sure.
And when that reason is there and they demand the rate and we have to pay because there's no one else to borrow from, then it'll start.
But doesn't the U.S. government borrow as needed from the Federal Reserve Bank, the private
They
bank
do, yeah.
that controls the U.S. economy? So cannot the Federal Reserve set any interest rate they want? It could be low. So, so the U.S. government doesn't have to borrow from China. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. They can borrow from the Federal Reserve and pay whatever interest rate the Federal Reserve sets, which is it arbitrary,
Well,
whatever they set it?
They set the overnight rate.
Yeah.
Like, basically, it is literally an overnight rate, so one day. All the other rates come from the market.
Okay.
And so the Federal Reserve issues this debt, but there is somebody on the other side who's willing to give the money to pay for it. And that's where
You
the
mean
Chinese
to buy those
fill in.
treasury bills? So, okay. So the U.S. government borrows from the Federal Reserve. They create a treasury bill, right? I don't know how it works. Maybe
Well,
I'm
they
getting it all
borrow
wrong.
through the Federal Reserve,
Yeah.
and then it goes to somebody
Then
else.
they sell those treasury bills to China.
to the
or-
market.
Yeah,
and
okay.
the market tends to be the Asians because they have the most money.
Mhm.
But it could be anybody. It could be us buying the bonds, but
What I don't understand is that it is in Canadian legislation, for example, the Bank of Canada can actually create the money that the government needs and charge zero interest,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now,
Why not?
why isn't that happening? We have the ability to do that legislatively in this country, to do that, which would be a non-inflationary way, because what causes inflation, or one of the reasons, is interest rates, right?
Mhm.
So if you borrow at zero interest and that money is used to invest in infrastructure, we're creating more wealth for everybody in the country at no interest. Why isn't that happening?
Well, I assume it's political. There's somebody who doesn't want it to happen. And you can probably guess who the somebody is, whoever's making money from what's happening today.
Right. The private
So-
bankers
And what's happening, what's true for Canada is true for anybody any government who
Yeah.
issues debt.
yeah.
This can be done in Europe as well. But you have to get through all that.
Now, okay, so
those layers
now
of
we know what's
bureaucracy
happened in the
there.
past, because President Kennedy created a new kind of money in the U.S., right? He created the U.S. notes, which were not Federal Reserve notes. They were backed by the U.S. government, not the Federal Reserve Bank. He had them printed, and he was about to have them released, and we all know what happened to him. Some people say that's the reason, that's the real reason why, but other people, who knows really what the reason is. But it seems to me there's a lot of people that are willing to defend the status quo because they're benefiting from it, even if everyone else is paying the price.
That's what it looks like. I'd say that. And if you go beyond Kennedy back into the 1800s, there were a series of presidents who issued money same way, same result. So there's a long history of this in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can go way back to the Romans and the Greek empires, and a similar sort of thing happened throughout history. So it's a very old story.
Well, I heard it even started with the Anunnaki, the ancient aliens that came from the planet Nibiru, who landed in ancient Sumer and turned them all into slaves to give them gold to fix the atmosphere on planet Nibiru, which is why we value gold so highly today. And that they're coming back. Joe, when are the Anunnaki returning?
No idea.
When do you think they're coming back?
2012.
Oh, yes.
Next year.
What month?
December
21st?
21st. That's right.
Okay. Just before Christmas.
Yeah.
Well, there must be a reason for that.
Well, you know.
Okay. Timing's everything.
All right, Joe. So what do we need to take away from this discussion? Where do we go from here with all this? What should people do? Should they buy tin foods and handguns? Or
Well, I wouldn't go to that extent, but I'd say stick to the basics. And the basics for you individually. So the food is there, but just look at the news with a bit of skepticism and an open mind. What else can be done other than that?
yeah.
And just pay attention to what's happening, because there is other things going on. They're not as apocalyptic as what the mainstream says.
You know, that's a really good.
So,
that's a good. I think a really good strategy, because I think too often the mainstream media gives us a whatever. We're
worst
not getting the
case.
full story. We're not necessarily getting the news that's in our best interest. Do you think that, Ron? Do you think that's conspiracy wackiness?
I don't know what to think on this one.
I don't know what you look like when you're talking on camera, because you're not on camera. Oh yeah, okay, that's better. Okay, okay, Joe. Any final
I'm
thoughts?
rarely on camera these
Any final
days
thoughts,
when I'm talking.
Joe?
I'm on radio. That's it. If you touch me,
See?
he'll put me on camera.
Okay, Joe. Any final thoughts you want
Final
to leave us
thoughts?
with? Yeah.
I'd say, well, it's just what I said there, and
Hold on to your money.
hold on to it, but just stick to the basics, I'd
Pay
say.
off your debt. Don't you believe in that?
Yeah, that's one of the basics.
Yeah.
Making sure you're healthy, making sure you're, and also get to know your neighbors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Get to know your neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
Because if anything should happen, they're your first defense.
Yeah. Stick
And
together.
they're the best defense, because they're right there beside you.
Absolutely. It's the way it used to be in the good old days.
Some of your neighbors get you evicted.
If you're a bad neighbor, like you.
No, I wasn't a bad neighbor. They just like
Yeah, sure. They were a bad neighbor.
they were.
Okay. Joe, if people want to get in touch, because you're there to help people with their investments and that sort of thing, what's the best way for people to do that?
The easiest is my website. It's joetheinvestor.ca,
Mm-hmm.
and I have contact information. I have a blog on there. I have what I do in services. So it's all there.
Okay, fabulous. Joe, always great to have you on the show and have these conversations. Let's take a little bit of a break. And
With
you
who?
know what?
And
What?
Whose music will
Yeah,
we be listening to?
Josh
again?
Spears. Did I say that? Josh Spears
Yeah, let's
is our music
hear it
today.
again. People might be tuning in.
And we're going to come back with Lisa Maxam, director of the staff room, and find out what that's all about.
We're gonna find out about that staff.
Yeah.
Room.
Yeah, and whether it needs to be cleaned with a good pumice,
Yeah.
a bar of pumice that floats.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
There you go.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
Well, look at you now, you're out of control. Oh no, another wasted night to bask in your loneliness, and it's not your wish. And I believe in you, and you believe you can fly, and God, I know you try. It's just a matter of time. Another wasted night to bask in your loneliness, and it's not your wish. And I believe in you, and you believe you can fly. And God, I know you tried. It's just a matter of time. And do you feel you'll never feel? The truth's a liar's real. Well, I know you've got it in you now to turn that ship around, while you slip and slide, searching for solid ground, for something real that's yours and never fades. And I take comfort in this conflict with the hopes that it brings change. Flower buds, but it won't bloom, and all I see is an empty room. Your flower buds, but it won't bloom, and all I see is an empty room. Should I believe in you from death I fear? Oh.
You're looking at. Welcome back to Liquid Lunch. We're here. We got Lisa Maxam here from the staff room. And Lisa, it's great to have you here on the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
I've already learned a few things just
Like?
in our little chat before you came on the air. Like, it's the oak in the red wine that gives you an instant migraine.
That's right.
Right?
It's also in white, too.
In white.
White wine.
Oh, yeah. What did I say?
Red. But it's
Oh.
in red mostly, but yes.
Oh, okay.
And you're not supposed to hug your coworkers either. That's a form of sexual harassment.
Was I hugging her
Yes.
on the air?
Yes.
Oh, wait. No, because you would know that. Because
I
you're from the
would.
staff room,
Legally.
right? Is that really, seriously, that's sexual harassment?
That can be conceived
could
as
be
sexual harassment.
it
Yes,
was,
absolutely.
If it was not wanted, but it happens to be wanted.
Now here's the tricky part.
Yeah.
She can make out as if it's wanted, and
Make
then
out with who?
And then tomorrow she can actually charge you.
Really?
Really?
Fortunately, I'm not schizophrenic.
Okay. we
That's
got
a
this
good
on
thing
tape.
I'm
then.
not one of those
We got-
women who do those things.
We got this on tape.
Well,
so.
then there you go. That's a good
Your
thing.
Honor, I'd like
That's
to
a good
present
thing.
Exhibit A.
That's right.
Okay. All right, Lisa. So what is the staff room exactly? You're not an employment agency.
Absolutely not.
So what are you guys?
The staff room we are a human resources management consulting firm. That being said, we will go into small to medium companies and we will ask them what are their needs and wants, and we'll let them know what their needs are, and their wants are just that, they're a want. In respect to WSIB, how to cut their costs, policies, procedures, accessibility. You know that there's a new law that's out. I brought some information on
That's
that,
right.
as well as Bill 168, which people have no clue on.
No, is that the same as the?
No, it's not.
Okay, so what are these two laws that are out now?
Well, Bill 168 actually has already come out. It came out last year, I believe. Bill 168 is a new part of Occupational Health and Safety Act.
That's federal?
Yes.
Okay.
It is. It states that when somebody is being harassed, not sexually, but harassed like bullying, so you must get this done or something to that effect, that's actually against the act now.
So
That's
the
Bill
employers have to be
168.
careful how they treat their employees because of this, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, boy, that sounds like it opens up huge
It's a huge
can
thing.
of worms or just,
Micromanagement
yeah.
can be conceived as bullying.
It's going to be crazy.
It already is crazy, actually.
I mean,
It's
that
already there.
started to happen even in schools where you couldn't touch the students. And I actually used to enjoy if a certain teacher would maybe touch my shoulder as a form of support.
Absolutely.
And now you're not allowed to touch. And I just find the power of touch so important, and now we're not allowed to do anything anymore. And as an employer, I would like to be able to say, look you can't do that anymore, and the employee is now able to say, I don't like your tone.
And you know what, unfortunately, it's coming down to very similar things as that, because it can be conceived as bullying. Now you're bullying me. Everybody thought bullying was just strictly in schoolyards and things of that nature, and it's not. It is in the workforce, and it's been there for many, many years. It's just nobody knew what to do about it or how to do anything about it.
So on balance, the new law, is it too much regulation, or is it decent protection of people's basic rights? In your
You know what? In my opinion, it's a little bit too much. But yet, on the other hand, it's balanced. It's a give and take too. It depends on the person that's saying it. It depends on how it's conceived. It's the context. It's the tone. It's everything, to be honest. It really depends on how you perceive it. It's not a matter of how I would say it to you. It's how you would take it, how you would perceive it.
That opens
The gate.
door
It's
to,
like
to
two
it's up
lawsuits
to one's
and
interpretation,
legal.
as opposed to there really is only one story sometimes. That's why if there was a camera,
That's
there
right.
would be only one truth.
That's right.
And we're going to be in a lot of trouble.
That's a big debate. But
It
it
is
sounds like
huge.
the
It always
staff
is.
room, what you guys do is you help companies deal with these legislative
Absolutely.
challenges,
That's
right?
where we would come in and we would say, do you have a policy procedure on this? No, we don't know anything about it. What is Bill 168? And that's when we can introduce what it is to them and help them with a template on how to get a policy out there, how to implement it, how to make sure that it's displayed, same as your health and safety. It has to be displayed when you come into the building or displayed when you come into your actual office. And a lot of people don't know that either.
The policy. Is that according to
Yes.
the act?
Yes.
The
They
new
all
act?
have they all have to be displayed. No, that's the old act.
Oh, we don't have one here.
I didn't hear that, right?
No, I didn't say that.
Oh gosh. Whew.
What do we have to have displayed? What?
You're supposed to have your
You're
You're
lucky if
supposed to
you
have
get
your
go to the
policy
washroom.
displayed. Come on here.
What policy though?
Your health and safety policy.
Oh, health and safety policy. Okay.
Yeah.
Can we have an official go to the washroom break by law?
Just
An
wait till-
official one. If you have to go to the bathroom, I'm going to suggest you actually go, or you get some Depends until you have the courage to say, I need
I
to
agree.
go.
Well,
The
he's
Depends.
always told me to
I-
wear Depends.
That's right. I'm a firm believer in Depends.
But you know,
I
it's not my
believe you
favorite
just went to
thing.
the washroom, did you not?
I'm doing it right now.
Good to know.
Me too.
And who gets
Hey.
to change you? I can tell you one person who's not. That would be me. I'm not touching you.
Okay. Boy, this is getting ridiculous.
Now
Lisa.
I have a
Yeah.
question.
What's that?
Is everything that you do pertaining to the employees and the employer, or does it pertain to the actual business?
It pertains to all of the above, because what pertains to the employer is going to pertain to the employee. It all funnels downstream. On the flip side, we also help the employee, though. Those who need their resumes, interview skills done, we'll help them as well. We have networking, we have workshops that we do, and we help people with that. So jointly, when an employer terminates somebody, it's in their best interest to actually hire us to go in, and we'll help them with their resume, interview skills, cover letters, and we'll show them the hidden market. The employer will pay us to do this for the employee. The employee is now more employable, which looks better on the past employer, because now they've helped that person that's been there 15 years and has no clue how to get a job, how to do their resume, and how to interview properly. It's amazing some of the things that we see, really is.
And your pamphlet says you are not lawyers.
No, we are
but
not.
Yet you know a lot about the law.
Yes, I have taken law myself. When you think about it, somebody that is actually in a labor relations role, they represent companies, and they are not lawyers.
That's correct.
That's exactly like us. We can
Yeah.
actually go on behalf of the employers or the employee, for that
Right.
matter, and we can represent them. Same as arbitrations.
Yes.
We can be there when they're doing their negotiations for a new collective agreement, making amends. Yes, all kinds
Have
of
you ever
things.
thought of going into the marital problem industry?
I think I have enough friends that do that, no, it's okay.
Just another example of a relationship that
Yes.
sometimes needs some
Yes.
mediation.
It goes
right?
awry.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And do you have a storefront? Do you have a location for your company, or do you just go to different companies and hold seminars in different locations?
We have a head office in Pickering, but yes, we are across Ontario. I do have people that are remote, and they do work out of their own homes, Mississauga, Etobicoke, as far north as Peterborough. Sorry, I guess that would be northeast
Yeah.
Peterborough.
Well, okay. So
Yeah.
now, so it sounds like you're a consultant that goes in and helps companies, small and medium, or
Small,
even
medium,
larger,
and large.
with their HR issues, whatever they might
Absolutely.
be. And a lot of companies don't have an HR department.
No.
They don't have a human resources specialist on staff, right? So you kind of can fulfill that role on a contract basis for companies.
Yes, we also have done startup HR departments for companies, where we'll go in and we'll help them start up an HR department. We'll help them, the owners, the managers, we'll train them all on legislation, various things, health and safety. We'll go in and we'll start it, we'll hire the employees for them. And then, yes, consulting, even if they have an HR person, we'll also help them. Sometimes they're overloaded. Let's face it, we're coming out of a recession right now. You've got one employee doing 5 things. They're going to lose something. There's something that's going to slide between the cracks. We're there to catch it and make sure it doesn't get under.
Now, is this a new idea?
Absolutely not.
So you founded this company, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So
I did.
How
but
many
it's-
years ago? Sorry.
It's a good question, Marla.
2000, year 2000 is when
Oh.
I actually founded it. Unfortunately, way back then we had another recession and my doors had to close down. But I started it back up in approximately 2005, 2006.
And it just sounds like the whole legislative environment for companies is getting trickier and trickier all the time, right? There's
It
more
is.
and more demands that the government is asking of companies that are trying to create
That's right.
wealth, right? That it's just, it's just more stuff that they have to deal with.
It is. And unfortunately, legislation changes every time the wind blows. So in order to keep up with it is an awful lot.
I mean, we've seen, sometimes this legislation is a genuine response to a real need.
That's right.
Like, I guess, not like Sarbanes-Oxley, for example, was a response to a lot of
Yes.
corporate irresponsibility that was going on.
It was actually, Sarbanes-Oxley actually started in the U.S., just
Yeah.
so that you know. Yeah.
Yeah. But what do you think in general, in terms, because you're a business yourself too, right? Are legislators losing touch with the real needs of, people in business? Do you think?
Legislators? No. They're just doing what they think is right. They're hearing all these problems and they're thinking this is a way to resolve them.
Yeah.
It's not. Shouldn't actually say it's not. It's not always the resolution that should be done.
Yeah.
I mean, you have companies that are also unionized. Are unions always the way to go to resolve a problem because an employer is treating somebody wrongfully? It doesn't mean that all employers are treating all their employees wrong. Legislation, one bill might be a great idea for a certain industry or a certain company. It doesn't mean it's going to be a great idea for all industries and all companies. It's really one of those things where, unfortunately, it is government, and government says this is it, and that's it for everybody and everything, and that's just the way that the government works.
Do you also feel that you do some form of headhunting,
No,
even
really.
though you help people prepare themselves to get jobs, but it says here that you help companies find
yes.
employees?
We do, but I wouldn't say it's not true headhunting in the sense how everybody knows of headhunting. The only way that we do that is, yes, when an employer has a need for a new employee, we also have a small database of people that we have interviewed for. We've done their resume, we've helped them with their interview skills. We'll keep that for 6 months and then it's purged. We'll go through that and find if there's maybe a match there. If not, then yes, we will advertise and we will go that route. So it's not a true sense of headhunting in the sense that we're not calling up people and saying, I need you to get in here and interview people for a job that's really not there. That to me is what the other places do. I'm not going to name them because I've worked for half of them, so that's exactly what they do. They advertise for a job. Sometimes the job's already been filled and the advertisement is still out there. They're still interviewing for it, and you know what? Unfortunately, these people are sitting in a database waiting for a job.
Yeah.
And to me, it's not fair. It's not right.
But you do help people who are looking to change their career?
Absolutely. Did you want help?
I may need your help.
Yeah, he needs lots of help.
Does he? Yes, we do. What we do is we analyze their resume. We'll ask them to send us a job or two that they would actually apply to. We will look at their resume versus these jobs and let them see, feel, hear what is actually good for them and their background. Sometimes people are applying for jobs that really they shouldn't be applying to. I mean, don't underestimate yourself. Don't overestimate yourself either, because when you get into a job and you've bitten off more than you can chew, it's going to come out in the first couple of weeks, and then you're going to look really silly to that employer. You don't want to ever burn your bridges. You always want to leave an employer with a good taste in your mouth. You don't know if you're ever going to bump into that person later on down the road. It's happened many, many a times. It's a very small world.
Lisa, what's your background in your, history
My
of
background?
education that qualifies you for this?
I've been doing HR management for over 15 years. I started out as a receptionist, believe it or not, and grew from there. I had a good company that took me up the reins, put me into an office management job, and put me through HR management schooling at Centennial College. From there, I got into HR and fulfilled it. I've been at companies such as Cara Foods, large companies, Intech, which is also another company of Rogers. So from there, I've grown in the background as well as my education. I've graduated from Centennial. Supposed to be going to York U as a lawyer, but I'm not sure if I'm going to really pursue that yet or not.
Why is that?
It takes a lot of time. It's very demanding. So is the company, and my true love is to the company first and foremost.
Yeah.
So that's something that really, it's a love. Law is a love, and I think that's why I succeed in it. But it's interesting, and that's why I'm, I guess, qualified for it. I also have my payroll management degree as well for all of Canada.
Yeah.
So that's something that a lot of people ask me.
Do you ever take on a client that wants your help, and let's say that you do some mock interviews,
Absolutely.
and they are not rising to the occasion of what you perceive to be the right way to do it? How do you approach that with them?
So we would do the mock interviews with them, or we're training them?
I thought that maybe you were helping
Yes.
them do interviews better, so
Yes.
you do a mock interview to see how well they do.
So what we will
And
do
let's
is
say you would say, well, you should be dressing like this. You should be stop saying you should stop and they come back and they keep doing the same thing, or they don't even agree with you. How would you handle that?
what we do is when we're doing the mock interviews, we will actually have them turn their backs on people, so that way they're a little embarrassed. Who likes to have their back when they're actually speaking to somebody? You want to be face to face. You want to be eye to eye. Once you turn your back on somebody, you feel a little bit more pressured, I guess you could say. You're more apt to actually tune into what you're saying. So when you're facing back to back, you're thinking more before you're speaking. So we will point out to them, that's a better interview, now face to face. So when you're eye to eye contact, you can actually think before you speak, as well as speaking as fast as you need to. So that's a way that we overcome that. There are different ways to do mock interviews. When we do mock interviews, we do all the different approaches, the panels, the one-on-ones, the two-on-twos. We teach them how to do the various kinds and how to actually spin it around on them. Once you spin it around on an interviewer, it's quite amusing, actually. Mm-hmm. They actually realize that this person is not a silly person. They know that they've done their research and they know how to do interviews, and now all of a sudden they've spun it around and you're not being interviewed, it's now you're interviewing the interviewer. Mm-hmm.
So with your background in HR, working for other companies, what was it that prompted you to start your own HR company? Twice.
Well, the first time wasn't so good. I had clients actually when I was at a particular headhunting company, and they approached me and said, you think outside of the box. You're not your typical person who thinks HR. It's a matter of thinking outside. I don't have these blinders on and say this is this and that's it. There's always ways around things to make it better, to make solutions. Yeah. So when I was approached by them, I gave it some serious thought. I have friends in HR, and so they said the exact same thing. So it's.
So what does that mean for a client of yours, a company, say, that's that's working with you? The fact that you can think out of the box. What does that mean? How does that translate into benefits for your clients?
Well, that would mean that if I'm thinking outside of the box, I'm not regimented. I'm not geared to just, this is the way it is, there's no other answer, there's no other solution, this is it, that's it. Mm-hmm. No, because there's always a certain way to do something. But there's always the way to gear it to that particular industry or that particular company, or maybe that particular individual that they're dealing with. Mm-hmm. Everybody is different, every industry is different. Yeah. So when you gear it and you think outside the box, then it's something that gives them more value.
Okay. So now for people who are, is there anything else that really is like, you know they always say the unique selling proposition, right, of every business. Like, what is it that you do better and different than everybody else out there?
I think what sets us aside is the fact that we are not an employment agency. We are not one that has a database for that. We are different in the respect of, that's one thing, but we're mainly different because of the specialty that we do. Mm-hmm. We specialize in everything. I don't have just myself that's doing all this HR. I specialize in the law, the WSIB aspect of it, the policies, procedures, but I also have other HR people that work for me that specialize in benefits, training, selection, recruitment. So we have those people that's their niche. Right. Their niche is this, where you can be jack of all trades, master of none. Mm-hmm. That's exactly the same as any other company. Mm-hmm. You have people working for you because you can't know everything all the time. So that's exactly the same as us. But we do it in HR, so that makes us a little bit different, because there's not any other company that I'm aware of that has people that strictly specialize in certain areas.
So in other words, for a company that looks to address their HR issues, their HR needs, you're like a one-stop HR shop, right?
We're
don't
that
do it all
one-stop shop, yes, that's us.
Right?
Yes.
And you're familiar with with your legal interest, you're familiar with the legislation.
I've also taken law, so yes.
And which companies need to know about, right?
That's right?
As the environment gets more complex, right?
That's right. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So now, and also, so companies, small, medium, or large, that want to follow up with you.
Absolutely.
That are, and or individuals that are looking for maybe a little help with their career direction. What's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
They can contact us through the 888 number, which is 888-716-7791.
Sorry, 791.
No.
888.
No, from the beginning.
716-7791.
Okay.
Or our website's www.the-staffroom.com.
Great. And I know you're kind of north and east around Toronto, but can you work with clients across the country?
Absolutely. We have a client in BC currently that we're working with, as well as in the US, who is part of a very large organization. We do that through Skype.
Yeah.
We can actually help anybody anywhere in the world. We seem to be very popular in Dubai as well.
Wow. That's great. Have
Awesome,
you gone over there?
actually. No.
That would be good though.
You think?
Eh? Well, I would think it would just be cool to fly over that place and see all those crazy buildings that they're building.
I'm sorry, it's too hot
Is it?
for me.
The whole town is a beach. All right, Lisa. Okay, thanks for coming in today. Tell us about the
Well,
staff
thank
room.
you for
Now
having
there's no
me.
more confusion about the.
And next
About it
time
being
you
in-
come, Lisa, we'd like to have some documents as to how Hugh should take care of his staff.
I have some for him actually on accessibility in Bill 168.
We didn't even talk about that, did we? But that's a whole new thing in
That
Ontario,
is
right?
completely different, yes, and it's already coming into effect as of January. So if people do not have it, a policy, procedure, or any type of a plan, I would suggest they get their butt moving.
Absolutely, and maybe the first way to do that is to give you a call, right?
I'm thinking the same thing, yes. So what is the staff room, Hugh?
The staff room is a one-stop shop for all your HR needs. How's that? For small, medium, or large businesses.
Sure, we'll deal with that.
Okay. Because otherwise I'd have to talk for 20 minutes. All right, Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So, Marla, let's take a little break.
Right.
We're going to come back with Paul Fettes right after this, president of...
Oh, yes.
Of what? First Sovereign.
Right.
Okay, Liquid Lunch continues. We'll be right back.
I'm so cautious to show my concern. It's something I've learned from these years, overturned into nothing. No progress, no change. And I have nothing, oh nothing but you. For the time it takes, we never wait. It's a shame the way we spend our days. The trends prevail and now they're gone, and all that's left is an empty heart left to mend the sound the silence makes. The silence kills, the silence stays. empty, unseen, oh, to anyone but me. I've got this feeling I can't hide. I've got this feeling that haunts my insides. Like a lost soul on an endless roam, I have no home, no place I can call my own. Constant and cold, a black tide to come carry me away, just like the rain that beats down every day. Wait for my chance to come, but instead I'll run. And I don't know why, but for the life of me, I'll try. To dream, to take the path that most pretend to fake, to live, to love in fear of life, to raise the stakes. And I know you try, how I know you try, in lieu of the dark and prying eyes, a shallow selfish binge, that's the way you live.
And welcome back to Liquid Lunch, and we're here hitting the home stretch, and we got Paul Fettes here. And Paul, we had some fun last night, didn't we? Huh?
Oh yeah.
Well, should
I
we?
wasn't invited. What happened?
No. What happened was the. Should we talk about that? Oh, just a little bit.
Sure.
yes.
Yeah.
Right. Was the annual general meeting for the Toronto Dollar Organization, and You were re-elected as a board member,
Yeah.
so congratulations.
You sure about that? I don't know if that's good news or bad news.
Well, I'll tell you, I think that
Time will tell.
I really think
Yeah.
that you're probably going to be the president, and you're the best man for the job right now. I'm just saying
Well,
that right
we'll
off the
see how
top.
that goes.
Aw.
So, so tell us a little bit about we got, and then we went out and had some fun, and we got to know you a little bit better last
Did you
night.
take him to Gail's bar?
No, we went to Betty's.
Oh,
Betty's.
What's this with you and women's names?
Yeah, Betty must
Women's
be
names,
Gail's cousin, I guess.
facilities.
Gail could be a male
Betty's,
name.
Bobby's,
Betty
Bibby's.
seldom is.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit about, you mentioned you had a number of companies that you're involved with, and
Yeah, yeah. The original firm created was First Sovereign, and which is involved in financial planning and so on for people's financial affairs. But then we discovered people needed a lot more services, and that they didn't have everything that they needed to put together their financial affairs. And so we started up Encompass Capital Wealth, which is on the web at ncapwealth.com.
NCAP Wealth.
NCAP.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea of Encompass was to bring all of the services that people needed together under one roof, so that they wouldn't get conflicting advice from a lawyer, an accountant, and insurance person, and investment manager, so that all the advice would be provided in a cohesive solution that fit together,
Mm-hmm.
instead of contradicting itself. And so Encompass was intended to do that. And then we started another firm, FE Certain, and FE Certain is intended to work with people who want to invest in private mortgages, which is a kind of a niche market that some people are really exploring now, because they see that their GICs and whatnot at the bank are earning them next to nothing, and some people don't want all of their money invested in the stock market because it's got a
Too
lot of
volatile.
ups and downs.
Because
frustrate
when you
them.
invest in private
So,
mortgages, you can
a
you
little
have
more
some
stable.
control over your interest
Yeah.
rates, and you've got great security.
Well,
Yeah.
you also,
Yeah.
yeah, because you get the property if people don't make their payments, isn't that correct?
Yeah, so like FE Certain, and it's on the web at fecertain.ca, they focus on that particular niche, which seems to be something that it's not for everybody, but there are certainly people who are interested in going that way with their investing.
Interesting. Okay, but what fascinates me is that you started out as an engineer, right?
Yeah, at one
And,
point. Yeah, I
and-
went to Waterloo for engineering.
Yeah, we had
and,
some funny stories about.
Worked for about 5 years as an engineer after that.
Yeah, no. What kind of engineering was it? Was it
Well, it depends what you mean by that. The funny thing is,
mechanical
when
and electrical?
When I left engineering school, it was kind of the time when PCs were getting into every job. And prior to that, engineers had been doing their work on pen and paper.
Mhm.
And so no matter what type of engineering you did, in my case it was mechanical, no matter what type of engineering you did, in those days you were developing software to automate the engineering analysis that used to be done on pen and paper. So I was automating mechanical engineering analysis. And so every engineer, regardless of what specific area you graduated in, had to spend a lot of time doing a lot of software development in those days.
Essentially replacing engineers.
Essentially,
with
yeah.
the software, right?
You could say that, but really it was empowering engineers to do way more. Instead of replacing them, it was allowing people to do things and optimize things that they never had been able to do before.
So engineering improved as a result. In general,
yeah.
do you think?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Now you did that for 5 years, and then
Yeah.
what prompted you to make the change, or what
Well,
did you do next?
it was funny how I gradually migrated toward a financial career, because as I got more and more involved in people, I guess realized that I had decent kind of software skills. And so I started developing software for managing the engineering process, and then managing the engineering sales process, studying what types of products we were having success with, in which markets, with which players. And so I gradually became more involved in the business end of engineering and the whole understanding how to make the business work. And so I realized that I probably had more business interest than technical interest per se. And so I went back and did an MBA at Western in London and shifted gears to go into the business side. And of course, when I came out of there, that was kind of the dot-com bubble was just building. And so anyone in any business capacity was working on the new IT companies or software projects or you know the latest, greatest internet business that was going to make the whole world rich. And
yes,
so.
Remember those days when we were going to face nothing but ever-increasing prosperity forever and ever? Boy, that was great.
What happened?
I remember years ago, you know, a bank would bring me in and we're going to profile you and tell you where you'll be in 10 years. And I just looked at that paper recently and I was like laughing, like how many millions I would have had.
If you would
by
only
now.
follow their
Theoretically.
advice.
But everything changed, you know.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
interest
and they
rate
didn't tell
everything
you that was
they
going to happen.
foresaw, it just isn't.
Yeah, well, was that in like 81 when interest rates were like
Yeah.
18%
I can
and
tell
something
you
like that, you know?
exactly, because I remember.
I remember
I
too.
was living off my interest. It was
Yeah.
paying my rent, and it was in the 80s, and it was right up until when I moved to California. Still in the early 90s, still my interest rate was like 12 or 13% or something, and then everything changed.
Yeah.
And so,
So-
did the mutual funds. Do you do mutual funds?
No,
Yeah.
I don't. Kind of stay away from them. I
Me
used
too.
to. I used to be an assistant portfolio manager
Yeah.
on a fund. So yeah, I ran a fund for a while in conjunction with the portfolio manager. Actually, that was a Japan fund I worked on, and so we really focused on Japanese stocks. But,
So, should we ask you, Paul, about where you think the whole economy is going? So we had a discussion earlier with Joe, the investor, on the show. And you're in the financial business. What's
Right.
your take on the whole general situation?
Well, the interesting thing is that lots of times you see, for example, stock markets going up and down like this. And if you look at the company's profitability, the companies just keep chugging along, producing the same old profits, and people get really excited or really panic-stricken and whatever. But the company just keeps
Chugging along.
marching along. And so when you talk about how the economy is going to do, I don't know about the economy overall, but I do know that there are companies out there that just keep moving forward with business as usual and making profits and reinvesting them and growing the business and so on. So there's always something like that, whether the economy is in good times or bad times. Now, of course, that's only an investment if you get it at a good price, right? I mean, no matter what you invest in, if you pay too much, good luck making money.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's always that part of the economy that just keeps
Chugging along.
Yeah,
Just people going to work every day and
that's right.
producing the stuff that people need, right?
Yeah, so that's what we try to focus on instead of trying to time when is a good time to hop in and hop out and so on, because that's virtually impossible game to win at in the
Yeah.
long run.
Yeah.
Totally.
You might win once, you might win twice, you might win 10 times, but just like
It's like buying a house. Buy a house you want to live in.
yeah.
Don't buy it because the market's going to go up or
yeah.
down or whatever.
As
Same-
an investment. Do you
yeah.
believe in condos as an investment?
Well, one of the frustrating things with condos is the fees, condo fees that people
Yeah.
pay, and that can make it pretty challenging. When you say an investment, I guess you mean to buy it and rent it out
Yes.
to somebody,
And
as
then
opposed to
maybe
occupying it yourself.
Sell it.
Right.
In
And,
5 years.
So from what I've heard, and I'm not the expert in that in any sense, but from what I've heard, often the condo fees are low in the first few years
Yeah.
because not much maintenance needs to be done, clearly.
new.
And then the fees start to escalate, and so people do their analysis of the profitability of a condo rental, based on these initial low fees.
Right.
And once they've had a couple years, the fees go up and the numbers don't make sense anymore,
Right.
right? So that's, you know, if anyone's getting into that as a kind of investment
Yeah.
style, that's something you want to definitely think about,
Yeah.
because that can happen. And then the other thing that happens sometimes with condos is they put up a tower and they put another tower up right in front of it.
And your
And
view is gone.
Your view is gone, and they flooded the market with condos with, you know, giving them whatever, free furniture and you name it to try to get to unload these condos. So it's always a challenge, you know.
Well, it sounds like everything's a challenge, right? I mean, life can be tough, and decisions people make, they can be the right decision or the wrong decision. You never really know until you look back in the rear view mirror.
Well, that's true, and you have to. Sometimes people take a kind of a naive perspective, I think, in choosing to invest either in, you know, stocks, bonds, or property or whatever. And so did it, and made lots of money. I'm going to do it, and they don't think through the intricacies of why one property makes money and another one doesn't. You know, and what's the difference? Why was this condo good rental property and this one was a bad idea?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and there's always somebody who has a fantastic story to tell, and then there's always somebody else who leaps in response to that story.
Well, and
like his fish stories.
yeah.
Yeah, go on.
I'm just thinking.
And I have a comment,
I mean,
but go ahead.
sometimes, you know, people don't realize, because people are always learning, right? So people jump in and stuff, and then, you know, they learn the hard way something that
Yeah.
they just didn't see coming, right? And,
Right.
That's what life's all about.
You know, one of the things that when we're doing financial planning with people, one of the things that we always have to do on the investment side is talk them out of fads. So many people come and they want to get in on this latest fad. Could be this, could be that, who knows what. And as soon as there's a new fad, they're onto the new thing. And for most people, that's a bad strategy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, trying to catch the wave every time, you're going to get clobbered.
Yeah.
But it's tough for people to kind of back away from the temptation, you know?
Yeah. What's a fad right now, do you think, in terms of investments?
Well, I think I was talking today about ETF fad, exchange traded funds. And while the ETF concept in its infancy was a pretty good concept, buying a broad index because it's hard for you to beat the average on the stock market. People have taken that concept, and because it became such a buzzword and so sellable, people have created ETFs to do a million different things. Some of them smart investment strategies, and some of them probably questionable investment strategies. And so they just the marketers have just capitalized on this interest in ETFs and saying, oh, we got an ETF that'll do this, and we got an ETF that'll do that. And so they're taking what was fundamentally a decent concept and kind of twisting it around a little bit.
Kind of like those bundled mortgage products that they were so popular
Oh yeah,
just 2 or 3 years ago.
just
Sounds like Rogers.
just in
Triple A.
mid 2007. Yeah.
Yeah. What about gold and silver? A lot of people are talking about gold and silver
Yeah, I
right
want to
now.
know, should I be buying, bars of gold and
Yeah.
putting it in my safety deposit box?
Yeah, well, you know what? I don't know. I don't own gold personally. And gold has come up a long way in the last few years, right? It's come from, the low hundreds to close to $2,000 now. And so obviously, after it has had such a long upward trend,
There's nowhere to go but
then
down.
after that, all that opportunity has been missed, then people are getting excited about
Right.
it.
Yeah.
And hey, it might keep going up.
Yeah.
It might go up to 4,000. Who knows? But it might not. But anyway, anyone who's thinking about buying it right now is probably a little bit late to the party,
Okay.
so to speak.
All the accounts, the banks offering the accounts of the tax-free $5,000 limit.
Yeah,
Um,
TFSAs, tax-free savings accounts.
Do you recommend everybody does that annually? Put your 5,000 in there.
Well,
I mean, but that, you're not
You know,
saving a lot of tax, but it adds up.
Right. The thing people have to think about is financial priorities. And there's no right or wrong answer for everybody because everybody's financial circumstances are different.
Right.
But now it just adds one more factor to the mix. Should I be purchasing RRSPs?
Right.
Should I be purchasing tax-free savings account? Should I be paying down my credit card?
Mm-hmm.
Should I be paying down my mortgage? There are all these different things that people could do with their money with different consequences, and they have to kind of prioritize where should my money be going first based on my circumstances and my outlook for, let's say the next 10 years, what life's going to be like. Crudely speaking, if somebody thinks that they are going to be in a lower tax bracket in retirement than they are now, they should do RRSPs first before doing tax-free savings account. If they got money left over, talk about tax-free savings accounts, but they should be prioritizing on RRSPs. If somebody is more or less in the same tax bracket, in other words, more or less earning a similar amount of money now that they expect to earn in retirement, when they get the CPP coming in and maybe pension from their work and whatnot, and maybe an inheritance, who knows. Then if you're kind of in the same situation now as then, you're probably better to focus on tax-free savings account first as a priority.
Okay.
Yeah, because you tie up your money with your RSPs until,
Yeah.
whatever age they keep changing it to. And then even when you take it out, at least 40% of it goes
But
to
remember, if you got
taxes.
something also that if you got a credit card that you're paying 20 to 25% interest on, it's pretty hard for any investment of your money to outpace those interest
Exactly.
charges
So
you're paying
I would
there.
say
So you better
certainly
take care of that.
priority is pay off your credit cards,
Oh yeah,
For sure.
like immediately.
yeah.
No, Paul, so who are your primary clients
Well,
for First Sovereign?
right. We focus on families, and generally that could be a generational thing. We could be managing affairs for parents and their kids and grandparents. And a lot of times people have to look at that whole situation because in terms of managing their financial affairs, they got to think about
How it
how it all
transfers.
fits together, right?
Yeah, it's got to work as a whole
Yeah.
for everybody's benefit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's got to be a system, right? As opposed to just we'll take care of this for you, and your spouse is doing something else somewhere else, and
Right.
so on.
That makes sense.
If you don't have a family plan, you don't have a plan really.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's kind of our focus. And with the services that we offer, sometimes there are different people who need different types of services. For example, younger people tend to need more insurance, tend to need more mortgage brokerage, and that sort of thing. As they get older and their insurance needs may go down and their house gets paid off and that, then investing becomes a priority for them, and they maybe move into a higher tax bracket, so tax becomes a priority. And so my point is that people at different points in their life need different services of ours, basically.
So basically, anybody that's looking to plan their financial life, right?
Yeah.
Would
I
be
mean,
whether they're married or not. Because when they get married
Right.
and they start a family, then you can be there to help them to create their family plan. Right?
That's right. And if people don't plan, then they're going to have to earn a lot more money to have money left for them at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Because lack of planning means money is going out the door, probably to the tax man or here, there, and everywhere. You know.
Okay. So that.
Is there a minimum, Paul, that one has to have to take you on?
No, Encompass works with people with a variety of wealth levels, so that's not a factor. In fact, some clients are not even investment clients. They're just clients for insurance, tax strategizing, other services. So they may not even be an investment client at all.
Do you encourage disability insurance?
Yeah, I encourage looking at it anyway. Obviously, some people may have more or less through their work, through employer offering and so on, but they should definitely consider that and look at their situation and make sure that they are thinking about the risks that they face. You know, disability, critical illness, life insurance, you know, property insurance, all those sorts of things. All those sorts of things cover off risks, right? And so you have to think of what are all the risks that we're dealing with.
So, Paul, we don't have a lot of time left, but just again, I know I kind of asked you before, but what do you think about the global financial outlook? You know, as we see what's happening in Europe and
right.
debt situation,
Well,
and that sort of thing.
We have countries that spent more money than they had to spend. And so now they got to deal with that. It's time to pay the piper, right? And it's so widespread from the USA sweeping across most of Europe that it's so widespread that there's going to be a lot less money going out into the economy, and that's going to slow the economy down in the next little while. In Canada, we're lucky that we have a very healthy situation here relative to most countries in the world. But we will still feel the impact of it. We'll still feel the waves from the American and European situations, for sure.
Any ideas about the outlook for inflation?
Well, I don't think there's going to be much of that for a while.
Because the governments are going to keep interest rates low?
Well, because the government's going to stop spending money.
Yeah.
You're going to take money off the table.
Oh.
So, yeah, when the economy slows down, that, by implication, inflation is slowing down.
Okay. Interest rates?
They got to stay low for a while.
Okay.
You know, I think most have pledged until 2013 that they're going to keep rates low. Now, sometimes the market doesn't like that, and sometimes you see Italian bonds and so on. The market says, we don't want rates low. If you want low rates, we're not going to buy your debt because you're too high risk. You don't get low rates if you're high risk.
That's kind of what Joe was saying earlier. Well, Paul, any final thoughts you want to leave us with today? I mean, it just sounds like a real great...
Yeah, no, it's been a great opportunity to come in and talk to you about what we do and people's need to have a plan in place before they put money into investing and so on. A lot of people have come to us saying, here, invest my money. And I would say, well, I don't even know how to invest that. I don't know what you need. And they say, well, make me lots of money. Right? And I say, oh, well, what's a lot? Well, just lots anyway. And, well, how much risk can you tolerate? Well, don't take any risk, right? I don't want any risk, right? And I was, well, what's no risk? How much risk is no risk, you know? So that's why we got to kind of put a plan in place to figure out what's going on before we start going wild with
that's
throwing
awesome.
money around.
So you figure out what people need based on their character, on their
And their tolerance
plans,
level.
and all that sort of stuff,
Yeah.
and then put it all together for them.
You know, one thing that...
I'm a low risk kind of gal.
Are you?
Yeah.
One of the quick ways I tell people to think about their risk is this, because people do all these risk questionnaires and they give you this answer, that answer, and sometimes that answer is somewhat meaningless, you know. And I say to them, in 2008 when the stock market crashed, were you one of the following three types of investor? Were you the investor who saw, oh wow, things are super cheap, I want to put as much money as I can into the stock market because it's bottoming? Or were you the kind of investors kind of hold tight, well, it's gone down, but it'll come back. I don't want to put more money in, but I'm not going to take it off the table either. Or when things went down in 2008, were you the type of investor who's saying, get my money out? I know I just lost half of it, get out whatever's left. And that tells you about your risk tolerance.
Which one of those three is the low risk person?
The low risk?
Yeah, of those three scenarios.
The person who cannot tolerate is the person who wants to pull his money out at the bottom.
I see. Okay.
Right?
Yeah. And the high risk is the person
Wants
who
to put
wants
money
to
in
buy
at the bottom.
Okay, awesome, interesting. See, I had to ask that because it wasn't clear to me which was which.
There you go.
Now, Paul, just before we go, I just also want to just ask you, what's your interest in the Toronto dollar? Because you're on the board again. Just got elected last night.
Right.
An alternative currency, and just curious what.
Yeah, well, I grew up in small town Ontario, Mount Forest, Ontario, small town of about 3,500 people now. It was smaller even when I lived there. I I saw a lot of small independent businesses struggle with the competition from huge conglomerates that had the wherewithal to do things that those businesses didn't. And so I see the Toronto Dollar as an opportunity to give those small local businesses a bit of a better competitive situation where people can steer money, steer their purchases to those businesses. Those businesses can do business with one another, support one another, and so on. And a strong community needs strong local businesses.
Yeah.
And so the Toronto Dollar can help provide strong communities in that sense. And so hopefully that's something that's really going to resonate with businesses, small businesses here in Toronto.
All right. Well, listen, good luck with this upcoming year at the Toronto Dollar and with everything else. Great fun we had last night, and great to have you on the show today. So thank you for coming in.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
And we have to tell people again, where do they get in touch? What's the website for First Sovereign, and how can they get in touch with you?
First Sovereign, so it's First F-I-R-S-T, and then Sovereign, SOVEREIGN.com.
All right.
And they can find me there.
Fantastic. Thank you, Paul, for doing this.
Great.
Okay.
Nice talking with you.
So, well, that's the show.
Wow, what
Marla?
a show. Lots of finances, lots of office management, human resources.
And a few jokes at the beginning.
They're just trivia, darling.
Trivia. I got to go out and get
you-
me
you
a
get
big
a lot of
bar of pumice.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. The pumice to clean your skin, clear up your tush,
And-
and it floats.
Even
You'll
better.
always find it.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow for more Liquid Lunch right here on thatchannel.com.
Bye-bye.
What I need is a feathered floor, something soft to catch me when I fall down. Tethered, trampled, trapped, oh. What I need is truth be told, catching lies like hungry flies, eager to spread the seed of deception coming clean. Oh, oh, oh. All that's good has passed. What remains? Mere flutters of a pattern molded into fact, based upon fiction and taught upon that. And you don't know, or at least you pretend that you do.